You will learn the value of speaking your vision into the law of the universe. Good day, everyone, and welcome to New Answers Podcast. For those of you who have been returning to us, this is our community of everyday people sharing solutions to life's challenges based on our personal experience. And we've been discussing a number of different topics over the course of time. We are going to continue our conversations on spirituality and nurturing spirituality as a means of finding solutions to life challenges. And I'm still Gwendolyn Flynn, but Gwen, for those of you who really have a relationship with me because you've seen me a while. And as always, on our discussion about nurturing spirituality, I am joined by my colleague, Tiffany Lee. Hi, Tiffany.
Hello.
So on this episode, this installation of nurturing spirituality, we thought it would be to have a good conversation about the conscious and subconscious. And I said but I didn't really mean to say that, but consciousness and the subconscious. Consciousness, I guess. So, I don't know. I guess I'll let you start it off, Tiffany. I have some thoughts about it, but I'll let you.
Being in the science of mind studies, as we both are, when we do our spiritual mind treatment, what we're doing is trying to fix the subconscious thoughts that we don't know, or the things that got into our mind in our, like by 8 years old, I believe it is when we store everything that subconsciously tells us how we're going to live. So to start with, explaining it is by 90% of your brain memory is what we use to do our everything we do. 90% of everything we do is controlled by our subconscious. That's what I'm trying to say. 90%. Only 10% of our, which is our conscious of our making decision, actually controls our life. Everything has to go from the conscious to the subconscious, but everything's stored back there, and that's what is driving our everyday life. Our reactions, our world around us comes from the subconscious, because the subconscious tells the universe what we want. What do we want to happen? Okay, so
really, not the conscious.
No, we have to get so when we're trying to change a pattern in our life, what we have to do is find what is it that the subconscious actually believes and change that. And that's why you have all those subliminals and hypnosis, and that's what they're working on, is the subconscious. Because if you're trying to manifest $1 million, but you were raised to believe that you don't deserve it, or money is evil, or all this money stories, and this is really popular. This is why they talk about this. All the money stories is really what's in your subconscious. You're not going to manifest that $1 million. That $1 million is available for you. At least that's how we believe in science of mind. Source, all the abundance of the world is available for everyone. We can all receive everything we want based on our mental capacity to receive it. And it's a mental capacity, and that's controlled by the subconscious. So again, 90% of what is happening in our life is controlled by our subconscious. 10% is by the conscious.
Now that makes sense to me, because I feel like I'm a student of Agape, because that's my spiritual center. I haven't taken any classes. I haven't read. I read a couple of Reverend Michael's books, but I'm not a enrolled student in Science of Mind or in the Agape University. But this is making sense to me, because what I've heard from Reverend Michael and from the spiritual leaders, the practitioners at Agape is, you can sort of chant or repeat these affirmations over and over again until you really believe it. And that's why you have to do it, right? Because
Right.
your conscious mind may be thinking something, may have some thought, but it's your subconscious mind that you're going to have to really get to. And to get to that, you have to keep, even because they say, repeat this, say this over and over again, even if you don't believe it.
Right.
Do it until you do believe it, is what.
Until you believe it. But here's the thing. Here's what else. Yeah. Here's what else you need to get it to believe is you have to feel it. And that's why you do it in meditation. You actually have, once you feel it, that's the powerful part of it.
Yeah.
So if you say it and you feel it, and that's for you to practice that, might do it in meditation, you visualize it, feel it in your heart, then that's when it's going to manifest. So that's where people struggle, including myself. I've had serious theories about how life is supposed to come, I have lots of money stories. People do, but the people that get past those money stories or believe like I'm supposed to be rich, money comes to me, and that's like full on. It's not whether you're a good person, bad person. The laws of the universe have what's that saying? No perspective of person. You know what I mean? It's what each person believes and that they manifest. So you can't just be like, oh, okay, I can say I'm going to receive $1,000 today. But in the back of your mind, you're like, yeah, that's not going to happen. Like that doubt kicks in and it's not going to happen. You know what I mean? So
your subconscious can negate or your can negate what it is you are saying, and then it doesn't happen, like you say.
If something comes up against, if your conscious comes up with your subconscious, the subconscious always wins. So you do want to change the subconscious. Now, of course, you can change the subconscious. You just have to be aware that, oh, I have a wrong thought, is what it's called. Because the real thought is we are all creations of God. We are all perfect. We're all healthy. Abundance is ours. Those are all true thoughts. But our subconscious, because of how we were raised or from previous experience, whatever we truly believe, that's really what's going to happen. If it goes up against that, it's like, nah. So I know, like my friend Abby, she's a money manifestor coach, and the way she helps that is she's also a hypnotherapist. So a hypnotherapist, they work directly with your subconscious. So that's always like a quick way to get through to help you get past blocks. In fact, the hypnotherapy school HMI that's really popular that many people go to, the owners were students of Ernest Holmes. So because it is the science of mind, that's what they teach, that whole theory about about the subconscious and the conscious and memory and stuff like that. So I think I got myself sidetracked, but yeah, you have to change the subconscious. So to do that is the tricky part. That's the hard part, right?
That is the hard part. I was going to say, because it's easy for us to say, okay, so it's the subconscious that you have to get to in order to, to make things happen. But it's not easy to get there because we've got ego, we've got, free will, right? Which is the conscious probably. We've got all this chatter and all of this stuff from folks that we have been, hearing from, our parents, our, that we look up to that sometimes may not be supportive. And so you hear all this negative stuff that gets in the way.
Yeah. Ernest calls it race consciousness, which we would say collective consciousness or race consciousness. That affects it too. you know.
Yeah.
So in fact, race
And by race,
consciousness,
we're not talking about ethnicity or
no,
we're talking
we're
about
talking about the human race.
the human race. Yes.
So we'll say the collective, the human collective consciousness affects us too. And of course, the way your circle of influence,
Yeah.
affects it. So, yeah. So
This is really deep.
So the way science of mind, the way we're learning to do it, when you go for a spiritual mind treatment, and you can Google spiritual mind treatment on YouTube. There's people that put some on there. But the point of the spiritual mind treatment, the reason why it works, we call it a demonstration when it works, is because the first part of it is you are speaking truth into the universe, and it works on the cause and effect. So your life is basically demonstrations of cause and effect. The cause is your thoughts, mostly your subconscious thoughts. But your conscious thoughts are very important too, because yes, when you're consciously thinking, you're speaking something out into the universe. So if you don't have anything stored there right now regarding something, let's just say you say something, you meet someone. Okay, we had this conversation a little bit. You meet someone and you're like, I don't trust people. And you speak out because I think most people are manipulative and lie to me. Okay, so you just spoke that out into the universe. And you spoke it out probably because you have some experience that's what you experience. The universe doesn't know good or bad. What it does, it will bring more people into your consciousness, into your space, that are going to lie to you.
Yeah.
So
because the cause is what you spoke, and then the effect is, the universe will find a match for what you spoke.
For what you just spoke. So you do have to be careful with what you speak. And that's why even, the Bible tells you, Jesus tells you, be careful with your words. Your words are the same as doing something. In the Bible, it says, even thinking about murdering someone has the same effect as murdering someone. So people don't understand. It's not like if you think about it, you're going to go to jail. No, it's going to have that same karma on your life, thinking about it or doing it. The universe doesn't know any difference. The energy of the universe doesn't know any difference.
Yeah.
So,
no respect of person, right?
That's what I was trying to say. No respect of persons. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's
So
neutral. It's neutral, and that's where the science comes in, right? It's neutral, and it just will be attracted to what you put out there.
Right? Yeah. So with science of mind, we believe like there's spirit, there's the one spirit that we're part of, and you want to align with that. You want to acknowledge the fact that we are part of spirit. We have the same creative ability of spirit, because we're a direct reflection of God or spirit. So that's why what we speak, just like the Bible says, we spoke the world into existence. We do. Every single second, boom, 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 every minute, everything we do, we're creating. The world, everyone's creating. You and I, we're creating right now. Every choice we make, we made a choice to be on here today. We made a choice to be on here months ago, one time. Like everything we do really is a creation of the next moment, So that's where you do have to be conscious about what you say. So even if you actually think like everyone I meet is possibly a liar, you don't say it. You catch yourself. You catch yourself, that's negative. And you're like, and now, here's the truth that that one is not true. That you spoke it, you believe it. So that's what the universe right now is being like, oh, bring her liars, bring her this type of people. Yeah. So you can stop that thought. You can tell yourself, oh, that's not a true thought. Some thoughts are easy to change. And then you put out there, no, there's some really great people in the world. I can't wait to meet these great people in the world. And the universe is like, oh, okay. So where that the shortcut in that, I'm trying to figure out the word I wanted to use, but you didn't change the thought of most people I meet are negative. That's in your subconscious. You just created a new thought pattern because because what you said was, no, I think there's good people in the world. I need to meet some good people. And the universe is like, okay. And you said it with hope. At least it came out that way for me. But if you said it with hope, like, this can be a new experience, this can be hope, then you're going to meet those people. You know what I mean? So that's a way around our subconscious. Create a new one, create a new thought pattern for it to store there. And then once that happens, then you have proof. And then that changes you, right?
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. So we call that the demonstration. So going back to the spiritual mind treatment, there's five steps of it. You have to acknowledge source and God, who that is, or what the power of that is. Then you acknowledge your connection to it. So that lines you up. You get aligned with God. Once you're aligned, that's when you're most with truth. That's when you're most powerful in being able to manifest what you want to manifest. Because say if it is money at that point, and you became aware, like, oh, I have this false belief that money is bad. And you can think about, like, where'd that come from? Why do you have that belief? And you're like, oh, I was taught that. And then you think about some situations like, is it true? No, money's not bad. Money's fun because money allows me to travel. Money allows me to do this. And you just brought a whole new emotion to that while you're aligned with truth, with source. And then you're like, and then you manifest, like, I want my $1,000, my couple $1,000 to go on a trip. And when you're saying this, your feeling is excited about this trip, right? So you're putting all this power because your feeling is that you're telling truth and you're giving it, it's in the V, that part of the V, the creation part. And the universe is like, okay, we're going to bring some money. And I'm going to throw in there unexpected money because I don't want to work hard for it. I'm manifesting some unexpected money to go on a trip right now. And the universe is like, okay, yeah, let's do this.
Yeah. I mean, and when we can adopt that mindset, life becomes so much easier. I mean, right. I can see that happening. So
it's what Jesus said. It's the truth. When you know the truth will set you free. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's so much freedom to, like, that truth. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But it's just, so it's easier said than done. So here's one of I'm going to read just a portion of an affirmation that I say every day, every morning, as much as I can. And it's basically kind of restating what you just said.
Okay.
It says, you will learn the value of speaking your vision into the law of the universe. When you do this, you'll be sending out vibrations that become a match with the great law, and the manifestation of resources, opportunities, and people that support your journey will flow into your life. Speak affirmatively about the success of your journey, even if it is to yourself, by yourself. That's just a portion of one of the affirmations that I repeat.
Right.
I mean, it's just so, I mean, it's so hopeful, that you can do this. We have the ability to be the co-creators of our lives by speaking affirmatively and putting it out into the universe for the universe to bring it back to us as a match for what we do. Because that's the law, right? The cause and effect.
Yeah.
without regard, without irrespective of person. So
Yeah.
it doesn't matter who you are, right? I mean, it just makes you feel so hopeful. So not only about your personal life,
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping that this can radiate out into the world, and we can hold a space um, for good things, for the elevation of the human spirit, as I like to say, um, based on what we all can put out into the universe that's positive, and so that we can get that back, and so that everybody's life we can create that um, uh, beloved community that
Yeah.
the king talks about. So come, we can do that for our own personal situation, and then just kind of radiate it out to our community, to our state, to our country, to the world.
Right. And that's the way it works. I mean, you say you can't you can't change hate with hate, right? You got to change hate with love. And
Oh,
love, we don't use love enough. Love is the ultimate power. But we have a tendency to believe that hate is more powerful. It's not. Actually, love is more powerful. Love neutralizes everything.
mm,
So, however, hate comes from fear. And
mm,
the world right now, everything's based on fear. We do everything based on fear. All of our marketing is based on fear. Wars, like that's the world that we live in right now. So therefore it's created so much hate and self-centeredness and ego, right? So I mean, you can use the law is always in action. That's the thing. It's not like some people can use it, some people can't. The
right.
law is always in action. So if you're in your ego and you're having negative thoughts and you're saying negative things, then you're creating negativity around you. But if you align with source and love, then yes, you're going to create more love and positivity around you. So it is going to radiate out to the people around you, because love
Yes.
is bigger than negative. If if you're around a negative person and they're open to receiving love, and you don't
Mhm.
have to be like, I love you or whatever. You just be in your love energy and let
Yeah.
it seep into them. They're either going to walk away or leave, or they're eventually it's going to neutralize their energy. So I've experienced that. If I feel like someone's negativeness is too much for me for where I'm at,
Yeah.
then I have to leave the situation. But I've been around people that are like in negative energy, and I'm in like my love space, my Christ centered energy. It does change them, it neutralizes it. And not to say anything, they'll just see it themselves and be like, oh, you know what? I gotta stop being like this. Yeah.
Yeah. And isn't it interesting that they will see it, and
Mm-hmm.
and you don't, like you said, you don't have to say anything. It's
You
just
don't have.
the way you are being, and then you notice the switch in their
Mm-hmm.
behavior, in their the conversations that they're having. Because
Right.
I've witnessed that just even recently with a group that I am a part of, and there was a person who always says that they have good intentions for the group, but was always spewing a lot of negativity, and
Mm-hmm.
and saying things behind people's back, and then once in our interactions, me working directly with that person, speaking directly with that person, and I remember saying at one point, I am not about blaming and shaming. If there's some changes that need to happen, we can do it in a way that's loving. So I would
Right.
keep reiterating those kind of messages, and eventually this person stopped calling me to have these sidebar conversations about chatting about somebody, and then
Right.
in our communication in our group, began to settle down and not bring any negativity, or would point things out in a more in a more loving way, in a more
Right.
positive way, for changes to happen. Changes needed to happen with the group, and everybody kind of acknowledged that, but it was the way in which it was done.
Way
That
that
person really kind of, they saw how things were going, and we're, you know, based on the conversation that we were having, and then started to change their approach in
right.
a way that was more supportive and more loving and more just communicating in a more human way, I guess. And it's really interesting how that change can happen without you. I mean, I know in the interactions that I had with that person, I would say things very directly, but not in a way that was going to bring that person down either. That wasn't what I was about. But
Yeah.
eventually, you could see the change coming over that person,
Hmm.
and then it showed up in the way they, their language changed. So it can happen, and quickly, fairly quickly, because I think this is behavior that this person was used to um, exhibiting in all of their interactions, and
Mm.
I don't think it served them well. And now they see, so it's something that would develop over a period of time, I would think. Uh,
Hmm.
and you would think it would take a period of time for that change to happen, because to build that up, right? But it didn't. I mean, you could see the change. I mean, it wasn't like overnight necessarily, but within a couple of weeks you can see
Right.
change in that behavior. Yeah.
That is one of those false thoughts I like to address because people like to be like, oh, people don't change. The truth of the matter is people change every single day,
Yeah.
every moment. You know what I mean? Some change more, some consciously, like we do the work, we're consciously making changes. Um, because we know we need to. Some people don't know, so they're changing by default because they're creating, if they're negative, they're creating their negative environment, they're creating negative experiences, and it's probably changing them to be more and more negative. You
Yeah.
know, if they become, because everything you watch on TV, everything you listen to, all of that affects who you are.
True.
So, and then we have this world right now with so much going on, and that's making people. I mean, there's people that I was good friends with that I know we live in two different worlds at this point because we are on opposite ends of the spectrum of what we believe, and whatever's happening in their life is supporting their belief. That's the thing. You know what I mean? So what's
Yeah.
happening in my life is supporting my belief. What's happening in their life is supporting their belief, and it's creating more of a division. Um, but people change all the time. And so if you want someone to change, I mean, you can't want someone to change. Like a spiritual practitioner, because you have to have grace for everyone.
Yes.
Everybody is on their own path.
That's right.
Everybody has their own skin, and their own skin and their own feet and their own mind, and they're still connected to source, God, everything, so, and they still have a spirit and a soul that came here to learn something. So we don't know anyone else's path, and we do have to take that into account when we're being judgy, which is why we're not supposed to judge other people. But so knowing that people do change, and knowing that you can't change them if they're negative, you can't influence that change. Okay, you can influence that change. Every single thing you do, say, and act is influencing other people. So if we know that someone's being hateful, can we be hateful back and influence them to be loving? No. And I had to look at myself with this because I'm very passionate about what's happening. I'm very passionate for humanity. I know I dislike the things that Trump is doing and the administration, and I respond to things on social media. Now, when I look back at the ways I've responded, now that I've been taking my classes and growing and knowing, like, oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know this at the time, but I was sounding as harsh as the people I was fighting. But for me, I was like, well, I'm doing it for the right reason. But
Yeah.
no, the energy in it, when I read some of my comments, I was like, ooh, I don't like the energy that I'm putting out there, regardless of what I'm trying to say, because the energy is coming across hateful and negative.
Mm-hmm.
I can be saying loving words, but the energy was coming across. I was like, so that wasn't going to influence anyone
Right. Yeah.
see things another way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's my big aha that for myself recently.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I said, it's really hard to do because, while I'm saying this and I've had an experience where I was able to I think influence someone who was coming across as negative in our interaction, and I think I was able to get them to see a different way of behaving, which was then demonstrated later to me that they have changed.
Mm.
Then when I talk about um, responding on social media to stuff that I see, sometimes like I don't come across as agape like. That's what I call it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not coming across as my higher self.
It's my higher self. So I'm going to have to really just in every, because I do try to incorporate this into every aspect of my life. And sometimes I succeed, sometimes I don't. So I'm going to have to really take a step back before I respond to something and just, breathe and just, kind of channel my agape-ness into how I respond so that people will so that what goes out into the universe versus something that people will grow from. I would
Right.
hope. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that I would grow in that process too, basically. Because giving grace to folks, like you say, you don't know where everybody is on this path, on this journey. We're not in their experience. So
in their experience, we're not in their subconscious mind.
Subconscious mind at all. So we just have to give them grace and just understand where we are and be able to radiate that.
Right. Exactly.
Another one of the affirmations. Just think about. Don't think about what's coming at you. Think about what is coming through you. That is Christ-like and Christ consciousness, God consciousness.
Right. What's coming through you? What is the cause? And that is that's the mistake a lot of people make in manifesting, because there's cause and effect, and what they focus on is the effect. The effect is, I don't have any money right now. You don't want to manifest. You don't want to pray from the effect. You want to pray from the cause. That's why it's important to figure out what's your thought process. Like, what is causing my circumstance at the moment? What thought processes, words, actions are causing my circumstances?
Mm-hmm.
So, for instance, I have a friend that is hesitant and is kind of non-committal in relationships, but has been in a relationship, but says he can't commit to it until his finances get better, and it's been on a downward track for years, literally since he started dating this woman. And when they started getting serious, and all of a sudden he started having financial problems, and it's been on a downward track. It goes up a little bit here and there, but down. So the relationship has been on and off because he's like, I can't do it until I get myself out of this hole. Going on and on. So I said I would do mind treatment for him, spiritual mind treatment for him, and I was working on it, but I was working on the effect, like to help him receive more money. And then I was studying, because I am still in my studies, my practitioner studies, and I was reading the book, and it was talking about cause and effect, and what is the mind saying, what's the condition, what that's causing the condition. And when I thought about it, what he did, and the energy on it may have been reversed in a different way before, but the energy that he was putting out there was, one, he had already come from I don't think I want a relationship. He'd been that way for years, and he would leave a relationship if it started getting serious. And then he meets someone that's like, oh, I think I do. But he has issues to work on, like whatever that is.
Yeah.
But the subconscious knows he doesn't want a relationship, and he has this relationship with this person. So therefore, I have to protect this person, and I'm going to tell the universe to like not give him money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like his condition is he would start losing money and losing money, and so therefore telling her like I can't be in a committed relationship until things get better. So he thought he was trying to make more money, but he had already set up his condition.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And so I pointed that out. I was like, you got to decide whether or not you really want a relationship, and tell that to yourself. Convince you that you want a relationship, because right now, here's what's happening. Like, and so, you know, they say that any condition you're in, it's benefiting you something somehow.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So his was benefiting his subconscious belief of I don't want a relationship, so therefore he wasn't making money. It was allowing him to not commit. So now he has to really think about, do I want to commit? And what's the truth of that? He believed that a relationship was a luxury, and you can only be in one if you can afford it, type of thing. So, and that doesn't mean that that's not fully truth, but that's a truth that is holding him back. You know what I mean? If he wants to change that truth, then he needs to come up with his new truth.
Yes.
And start making money again. If he wants a relationship, he has to come up with a new reason why he wants to be in a relationship, and why that new reason, that new truth, can override his false truth. Or he could say, it's not false. I believe I deserve it now, or something.
Yeah. So if any of you listening to this has heard something that really resonates with you, have you had an experience in which you have, spewed some, probably inventing, right? Something that's gone on in your life, and then it just keeps happening. Think about that. Think about what we're talking about with your conscious mind and your subconscious mind. And I hope you walk away with the fact that your subconscious mind is the driver, right? Is what puts out there the cause. And it will whatever it is you put out there in your subconscious mind, whatever you think, it's going to come back to you. So you're going to have to change that. You're going to have to work to change that, so that the things that you really want, and you have to really feel it. And even if you have to, and I know that's what they say, or what I picked up on it, at least at Agape, through the practitioners and through Reverend Michael, keep repeating it until you, even though you don't believe it right now, keep repeating it until you do believe it, until you can really feel it in your bones, like that this is true.
Right.
And then things will change. You'll see your life change. You'll see the world, your community change. You'll see your state change. You'll see the world change. So I hope that this is what you're going to take away from the conversation that you're listening to. And we want to hear from you. We want to hear what your experience has been with this conscious and subconscious conversation. And you can communicate that with us through the comments below this video. And then please, of course, subscribe.